The gaming industry is absolutely 100% unequivocally cooked. This is the only place, the only hobby where we have actual fans of the medium going around and telling developers, publishers, and everybody else in the space, these are the kind of games we want. These are not the kind of games we want. Yet for some reason, every single time we are being fed AAA live service garbage slop. And no matter how many influencers these publishers and developers use, no matter how many media outlets they try to approach, it happens every single time. The toxic positivity, the inability to be honest with developers and publishers, the fact that criticism is labeled as actual hate and harassment really is going to be the death knell of video games, and why so many people are in fact retreating to either retro gaming or indie gaming as well. People who have been gaming since the early 2000s, or even dare I say the 80s, yes, your bones are turning to dust right in front of you, are able to see the forest from the trees. We're able to pick out exactly what these corporations are trying to do, and every single kind of monetization trick, practice, and whatever else people can actually come up with in order to try and open up our wallets to give companies more money. And we call it out every single time. Yet when people do call it out, when we reference things like Steam chart numbers, when we talk about actual sales, the only thing that we're met with in return is, you're just a chud. We're not chuds. We're people who want the gaming medium to progress and get better. And we want the actual ability for games to increase in the medium too. And what really makes the veins in my neck stand out even more and gets me really angry and the blood pumping is the fact that now we have actual game journalists talk about, maybe counting YouTube dislikes and Steam charts is actually a good way, an indicator of whether or not a game is actually successful. Who could have thought? But if you don't know what happened yesterday, don't worry, we're gonna fill you in. And it turns out we just had Concord 2. And soon we're gonna have Concord 3. And even Concord 4. Because according to VGC, a designer has claimed that most of the team behind free-to-play shooter Highguard has been laid off weeks after it launched. Okay, all right, how many more times do we have to tell you? People in gaming do not want another live service game. We do not want another 5v5, 3v3, class-based Apex Legends ripoff, or another game that has another battle royale in it. We want actual video games, things where people take a risk and move forward. Hell, look at things like Mugenics that came out the other day. People are trying to play that non-stop, but we're sitting here talking about Highguard, a 3v3 capture point system with a tower defense and Counter-Strike 2. It's like they took every single bad aspect of every other major live service game, threw it into a pot and said, yeah, this is good. It's an entire bowl of I'm sure they're going to enjoy this thing. How did anybody at Wild Heart Studios not stop and say, hey guys, I've seen this play out before. Maybe we shouldn't do something like this. Nobody on this team at all stood up and said, I don't think this is a good idea. This is what I'm talking about. This is the issue with the actual gaming industry. Not only is toxic positivity a problem, but also the fact that no one has any more original and good ideas. And all they're doing is taking from other people and trying to make it on their own. And even at that same point, it's not even good. They don't even take the good parts of the other games. They take all the bad parts instead and think that's going to be what people actually like. I feel like publishers, developers right now don't even play video games. They just see what's hot and they copy everybody else and they go from there and try to repackage everything and put it together without even adding their own spin or their own flavor to the actual concept. But hold on, there's more. There's more before I go on my rant. There's a lot more. So let's look at the article and go from there. With the article from VGC saying this, Alex Grainer, a designer who's worked on Apex Legends and Battlefield 6, made the claim in a LinkedIn post on Wednesday. The post was shared by multiple other Highguard developers, including audio director Brad Snyder and producer Amelia Almeida. With the post saying, quote, unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today, he wrote. This one really stings as there was a lot of unreleased content I was really looking forward to that I and others designed for Highguard. So this is what started the entire thing off, a LinkedIn post. Hey, you know what? That could mean anything though. It's not like Wildlight Entertainment went ahead and made a statement on Twitter talking about how they laid everybody off as well, keeping a core team of users. right? Wildlight Entertainment on Twitter last night said this: "Today we make an incredibly difficult decision to part ways with a number of our team members while keeping a core group of developers to continue innovating on and supporting the game. We're proud of the team, talent, and product we've created together. We're also grateful for players who gave the game a shot and those who continue to be a part of our community." Well, I guess, boys, you guys are in fact 100% cooked, flambéed, roasted, seared to perfection. It really goes to show that the people in the gaming industry have no fucking clue what they're in fact talking about or the kind of games they want to make. Nobody on this team was passionate about Wildlight. It clearly showed in everything about the game. Nobody had any fresh new ideas. Nobody had any thought or process. And everybody was literally doing the one thing we saw every other AAA studio do the past 10 years plus. And that is in fact chase trends, do nothing new, not sit there and say, oh, what's the one gap people are in fact missing in their gaming space, and then try to fill that gap. And if you need your gap filled, that's my job. The thing is, we're talking about an entire gaming industry that literally has no actual semblance or idea of what gamers in fact want. Yet at the same time, every single gamer is so loud on Twitter and telling every studio what they in fact want. And it's really wild to see. Oh, we were working on this for so long. Really? What you should have been working on was a Titanfall spiritual successor, not an Apex clone with Dota 2, CS2, and everything else in between thrown in because you wanted to make a gumbo of video games that is made for everyone but literally for no one at the same time. And watching the entire game go from 100,000 concurrent players all the way down to around 2,500 in 17 days basically proves that point. This is literally Concord 2.0. The game died within a couple of weeks ever since its launch. And we're going to be seeing this thing happen again and again. People are calling this out. They can see the forest from the trees. And I think the worst part about all of this is the gaming industry still doesn't want to listen. In fact, here's Nick Tech on Twitter saying this: "Highguard didn't fail because everyone jumped into the hate train. The game crossed almost 100,000 players within the first 24 hours of its launch, and it was free. Everyone who played it could have come back to play it again. However, the game simply wasn't fun to play for most of those who experienced it. That's the issue with these live service games. You either have to be extremely successful and retain a player base, or you lose player count constantly, creating a snowball effect leading to the game servers being almost empty. Also, the Game Awards didn't do the game any favors." And Nick Tech isn't wrong about this. When you make a pure live service game, your game lives and dies via the player count. And the thing is, this could have been one of the best marketing strategies for Highguard if the game was actually good, if it provided players something new and different, but it didn't. You see, the big issue I'm noticing right now isn't just the fact that the gaming industry is stagnating. It's the fact that we're seeing all these other game studios being propped up as the next second coming of Christ by people specifically like Jeff Keighley. Yeah, I'm going to put the blame on him specifically. Why? Because he's the one that went out and put the spotlight on Highguard in the first place. He's the one that went out and said to the actual developers and studio, hey, don't worry, I'm going to do you guys a favor. And he sure did them a fucking favor. He put them at the end of the goddamn Game Awards show when everybody was expecting something massive, hyped everybody across the board, and they literally put the actual death nail into the coffin of Wildlight Studios and Highguard simply because they wanted to give a little bit of a nepotistic edge to everybody else in that team. Oh, we're friends with the guy. We know him. He'll do us a solid. Yeah, he sure as shit did. Your studio's going to be closed down next. And that's the worst part about all of this. There probably are incredibly talented people in Wildlight Studios who could do good artwork, good audio design, or even have great gaming ideas. But we're living in an era of toxic positivity where nobody is able to get up and say, hey, this maybe not be a good idea. I wouldn't do this, and then get shunned down as if they're the bad guy in the actual room. And I can probably say this without any sarcastic tone in my voice. I feel like Jeff Keighley is the actual reason why this game in fact flopped. Not because of Highguard itself, but the fact that Jeff Keighley put the spotlight of the entire gaming ethos and ecosystem right onto this game. Everybody saw it at the end saying, wait a minute. You guys paid for this last ad spot and this is what you're going to show us? You're going to show us a game from the Titanfall developers, from Apex developers, and instead of giving us a Titanfall spiritual successor, you're going to give us this? live service slop of art style that we all know looks like a mobile game, of everything else that comes across the board. Everything gets downvoted to oblivion. Everybody already immediately hates the game. Then you guys go silent for weeks on end, not say anything, which creates massive amounts of hype as well, not providing any information to the actual players. And then when the game finally comes out, we see everything shoot to 100K. All the actual journalists celebrate like, yeah, we got them, boys. The gamers are over. We won. And then what happens? 17 days later, you guys fall apart, and we knew it would happen. We saw it happen. It's repeating the same cycle. And the fact that Jeff Keighley is the one going around and basically ruining video games. I can't believe Here's the thing. If Jeff Keighley didn't say anything at all during the Game Awards and he put Highguard in the slot where Divinity was going to be announced and left Divinity as the actual end, nobody would be giving a shit about Highguard right now. Nobody would be going around and wishing for the game to flop and fall apart. It would have had a smaller player base. It wouldn't have had the spotlight put on it. It wouldn't have had this insurmountable expectation placed on it as a game that would change everything, as Jeff Keighley sucked it off right on live in front of everybody. Millions of people watching and saying, you know what, that's gonna be trash, and automatically writing everything off. And what makes this even more ironic and hilarious was Jeff Keighley's tweets before Highguard in fact launched, tweeting things out like, in 48 hours I expect an apology, and saying things like, here we go, even though in the 2 movies he posted the GIFs from, it's all about the most catastrophic thing happening to the person saying those exact same things. But the thing is, did Jeff Keighley take accountability for what happened? Let's find out. Jeff Keighley last night on Twitter said this: a large part of the Wildlight Entertainment team that worked on Play Highguard has been laid off just 16 days after release. An unfortunate, brutal, and sad outcome for a game I enjoyed in early playtests. And with Destin Legarie on Twitter also saying this: I guess only needing a small passionate base of Highguard players was just complete bullshit, huh? And that blows my mind. It blows my mind how Jeff Keighley takes zero responsibility, zero accountability of what he did to this team. Granted, Wildlight Entertainment didn't do themselves any favor by making this kind of game, and they should have made a game that they actually wanted to make and not one that was done by the numbers of AAA gaming. But the thing is, Jeff Keighley did them zero favors. And then the studio shuts down, he skates away, and everybody else looks at him like, yo, what the fuck? What are we doing here, bro? You're the one that put the spotlight on them. You're the one that actually wanted it to happen. And Destin Legarie is also incredibly right. The Wildlight team themselves even said, with a small dedicated group of players, we'll be just fine. Well, you've got your small dedicated group, and now what happened? You laid basically everybody off, and you're delaying the actual inevitable. Everybody knows this is going to go from bad to worse. Wildlight will get shut down. More people will lose their jobs, all because this is not a game by actual people. This is a game by committee. This is a focus group tested game, and that even the group was actual gamers. It was the most inconsequential set of people. Every single influencer, YouTuber, Twitch streamer that you saw on this promotional material right here, they're the ones you should avoid ever watching or listening to. They were the ones that took the paycheck. They're the ones that went out to the actual show and were like, yeah, this game's good, guys. It's a lot of fun. It's 3v3 with a giant open map, and you ride a horse, and it's great. I just can't wait to play. It's super sweaty. You're gonna have so much fun with this game. It's super sweaty. Yeah, sure. I put an hour and a half into it and basically just wasted my fucking time. I want my money back, and the game was free. This ridiculous behavior of the gaming industry, this absolute self-flating, self-aggrandizing inability for the industry itself to go around and actually provide users with a good game, something new, something fresh, when right now, yesterday, more people are excited about playing a 26-year-old game like Diablo 2 for getting one new class rather than actually playing brand new games instead. How this industry doesn't grasp these concepts, how games like Path of Exile 2, how so many other games like Schedule 1 and even RV There Yet and everything else literally just break records and put the gaming industry to shame, while AAA studios dump millions and hundreds of millions of dollars into creating the most highfalutin eyeball visual graphics you've ever seen, while going around and 2 dudes with a cool wacky idea make something like Repo and totally top the charts, or something like Schedule 1, which everybody else is really into, or everything else you see on Steam as well. And speaking of Steam, it turns out that game journalists are finally figuring out that gamers actually have a voice, and in reality, we're the ones who control the industry. Paul Tassi on Twitter said this: "When I say you can track this stuff using much lambasted YouTube dislike ratios and Steam chart trends, I am not kidding. This was in the stars almost immediately, and people acted like I was insane for referencing those metrics." No, Tassi, you're not insane. You're just finally waking up. It doesn't matter how many other people go around and be like, well, this game sold well. We own the chuds. Nobody cares about that. What people care about is playing good video games. A lot of these game journals are so politically entrenched in bullshit garbage that people don't even want to get involved in. They just want to play a good fucking video game, that those same people are in fact pulling away from any other game journal that does that. We're watching massive record layoffs across not only the gaming industry, but also game journalist websites too, all because they either want to go ahead and put a political slant, not talk about actual video games, or at the same time force politics into video games. And that's a whole other conversation too, because I've seen a lot of idiots online being like, everything is political. No, it isn't. You're just too brain dead and incapable of actually having a cognitive thought without trying to line something up to your political alignment instead of just actually, I don't know, playing the game. Try that. You might like it instead. You might even enjoy the hobby in the meantime. But I think the crazier part is, the worst part is, a clip from one of the content creators that I actually enjoy was going around yesterday as well. And it honestly proves exactly the issue in the gaming industry. And I'm sorry, Maximilian, dude, but this had to happen. GK on Twitter says, "This is such a good point by Maximilian. Many creators can tell the difference between pure hate and actual criticism, especially if they've been doing it for a while. Some of you are literally just yelling into the void, thinking they will process it as critique." And it turns out he locked replies. Let's see what Max said, shall we?
In the same way that we make content and we see people react to our shit, you get people that are just purely negative and you're like, damn, just a hater. I will never get them on my side. I can write that bitch a check for $1,000. Their opinion would not change. So in the same way, developers look at the big haterade content for a lot of games and go like, that's not our core audience. That message doesn't actually matter. Like, we don't need to appeal towards them. But if you're like, hey, this game has this that are great, and it's really good and it's running good, but this and this and this and this and this, these are big ass problems. So finding that criticism middle ground became really important to me, which is why, like, my relationship with devs now, whenever I run into them, they're like, be honest.
And look, I like Max as a content creator. I actually really do. And some points are valid. Yes, there are people who are not going to like you no matter what. And those people are not going to impact you in a positive way. The problem is, when you see negative criticism, you cannot go around and take all of it as they're just haters. Even if I cut them a check, they won't change, because that goes around to show that, hey, you can pay people off as well. The issue is, you as a developer, you as a content creator, you have to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, and you have to be able to look through those actual comments of they're just haters and figure out, are they actually hating, or are they in fact telling you the truth? And the majority of the time, gamers are in fact telling you the truth. And yeah, a lot of it can be derivative to woke, but what that actually means is your art style, your content, the stuff you're trying to portray either has a political slant, or the art style itself fucking sucks. That's pretty much what that means. If you're not able to speak the language of people buying your product, you're not going to be able to sell them your product properly. And that's what game developers don't in fact understand. This concept, this idea of, oh, they're just haters, they just don't like me. You cannot use that as a blanket catch-all term for people giving you criticism simply because they're angry. Anger is an emotion, and people use it to express themselves. And yes, anger can actually have some good meaning and connotation as to why people are angry. But if you don't dig deeper into that process, and you don't understand where these people are coming from, you're never going to be better at getting criticism. And it doesn't stop there, because we're still seeing other actual influencers and people on YouTube and Twitter say stuff like this. Here's Mactix on Twitter saying, "When did hating on every game become such a common and prominent personality trait? Back when I was a kid, everyone would get excited for everything. A new game always meant new fun. Now people prey on every game's downfall and rush to find everything wrong with it." The problem this person doesn't understand or even actually comprehend is that right now gamers have more choice than ever before. We have multiple decades, 40 plus years of video games. I didn't stutter, 40 plus years of video games to go back to that we can either all get for free at a massively discounted price, not have to deal with always online, DRM checks, battle passes, microtransactions, new season updates, or bullshit to deal with. We also have massive online games that are taking up a majority of our time. So literally, our money can be better spent at other places rather than going around and trying to say, oh, this game's going to be great. I don't really have a choice. I have to get excited for this game. Now it's the opposite. People love video games, and you can see it right now with games like Arc Raiders. You can see it right now with games like Path of Exile. You can see it right now with basically every top game on Steam. Nobody hates video games. What people hate is being pandered to. What people hate is being lied to. What people hate is the fact that game developers and studios and publishers and AAA especially are not going around and providing something new and fresh. They're doing by the numbers books. And every single person on the internet is telling the gaming industry, this is what we want. This is the kind of game we need. And what does the industry do? They shove their head into the sand and bury themselves like ostriches, not wanting to see the danger coming their way, while AA and even indie studios are going around and eating their lunch. It's absolutely ridiculous what's in fact happening to the gaming industry, because this could have been an actual issue that was resolved 10 to 15 years ago. Yet for some reason, they're dragging its corpse along to the finish line, and everybody's going to beat them in the race. And people like Jeff Keighley and every other toxic positivity merchant aren't doing the industry any fucking favors. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys have to say in this video. Did you guys play Highguard? Did you guys like it, or did you pass it off to the side? Are you seeing the industry crash and burn, or are you going back into retro and indie gaming as well? I want to hear what you guys have to say. And speaking about what you have to say, here is in fact the comment of the day from yesterday's video. With Hellbringer898 saying this: what's that saying? Too little, too late. LOL. And Hellbringer's absolutely correct. We've been seeing that kind of sentiment happen across the gaming industry. It's going to keep happening until people get their shit together. But with all that being said, if you want to see more of this kind of content, more hot takes in the gaming industry like this, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 108K. And I just want to say thank you guys very much. If you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to pay the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel, as I wear a banana suit and get insulted by 800 people with TTS. Trust me, it's a hell of a show. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!